I'll start. You know, in October, I was at the IACP convention in Chicago. Excuse me, and the FBI director gave a couple of different presentations that I happened to be in. And he talked about the problem, especially in some of the major cities in this country, with the escalation in violence, most notably Baltimore, after the Gray incident, and certainly other communities. And you know, I think he was very candid, and he was very concerned from a national perspective about depolicing the Ferguson effect, where police officers, who are the guardians in this country, for a variety of different reasons, have kind of retreated back from their traditional enforcement activities and making those inroads with the community and partnerships. And he wondered, quite candidly, if that has a connection to the escalation in violence in some of the communities across the country. And I don't think there's an answer to that. I think that probably requires some academic study as we go forward. What I can say is that it's certainly a concern. And, you know, we've seen this play out over the course of the past couple of years at least, where, you know, those among us in our profession act inappropriately, sometimes illegally, and it has very negative consequences for everybody in law enforcement in this country. Certainly it's a very, very, very small number of people, but the consequences can be extremely tragic. So what I can say is in the city of Lowell, we have not experienced that. We've had 2 consecutive years now of double-digit crime reduction. I'm very proud of that. It's a testimony to the hard work of the men and women in this department and the partnerships that we have built in this community over the past 25 years or so through at least 3 administrations of the police department. So we haven't seen it. I think it's something that the law enforcement community has to be very cognizant of and try and, you know, make sure that we safeguard against it. Training's a key component. Those partnerships that we all talk about are instrumental as we move forward, but it's definitely an issue I think that we need to address as we move forward. I think that the President's 21st Century Task Force on Policing is a good start. I would recommend to everybody that you get a copy of it or view it online. We're involved in a project, the City of Lowell Police Department, as part of that initiative to look at the many recommendations that were advocated as a part of that task force report. I'm proud to say that our organization has already implemented, just as a course of doing business, many of the recommendations, and there's some additional recommendations that I'd like to look at as we move forward.